sit for a,
Yeah.
sit for a shot.
Alright guys, we're live. We're going to give it a couple minutes for everybody to kind of catch up here. So stick with us and we're going to talk about disaster preparedness.
And you may hear some barking in the background. Talking about you. Actually, I'm going to move him over here so he can...
Be in the background.
Yeah.
Look, love. Fries with chicken.
Get on.
All right.
I'm gonna get on TV.
On phone here.
Sit. Sit down.
Saying that we are here.
Whoever decided to mix modern technology and ancient technology stuff. You're not good at this stuff.
Alright. Well,
Is it on?
it should be on. We should be. And if we're not, I guess it is what it is. We had really good internet connection. I checked earlier. It's quite possible that we don't now. I'm gonna have to redo this on Wi-Fi.
No, it's live. Looking at ourselves.
Okay, well, if comments pop up on there, let us know, and I guess the problem is this phone here. I want to mute the volume there.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so if you have any questions during this video of either of us, feel free to ask them. But you probably know from History Channel's Alone, and he's currently at Rock Castle Shooting Center. He's got a YouTube channel, Rock Castle Training, right?
Rock Castle Training, yeah. There's not a whole lot on it, but we're going to try to remedy that hopefully in the next little bit. Start posting a lot more videos. But yeah, I've been derelict in that for a while now, so I need to get on board with it. So yeah, we really want to, with everything going on in the world now, in this country, it's getting pretty crazy if you've been under a rock somewhere and haven't watched the news. So we've had a hurricane in Texas, obviously, huge disaster with all the flooding and everything. One getting ready to hit Florida, and then if I'm not badly mistaken, there's two hurricanes right behind it. We just had like an 8.1 earthquake off the coast of Mexico that they were talking about could cause tsunamis. A bunch of wildfires out
All through the entire
out west. What else? It's a beautiful day here in Kentucky, but other than that, pretty much the world's going crazy. So what we wanted to talk about was, kind of some of the steps and things to get prepared, and just kind of some of the mentality of when those disasters strike, and what to do, because I think a lot of people that think about preparedness or being a prepper or having a bug out bag or any of these types of things, a lot of times it conjures up this like zombie apocalypse type situation that you're preparing for, you're training for, and that's really not the most likely case. We've talked about it a lot before, but the most likely thing is you're in one of these areas and you have a natural disaster to deal with, and that very easily will put you in a survival situation. Do we have any questions yet?
I don't know.
I don't know how somebody said knowledge is key. Yeah, absolutely. Preparedness.
One thing that people also don't consider, as you know, a lot of people aren't considering, right now a lot of my Army buddies are actually being evacuated, Georgia, Florida, all of that.
Yep.
So you have this mass migration of people out of an area. So people in areas that are not being affected by the emergency now have
flooded.
a huge population flood, and the grocery stores are getting wiped out there.
Yeah.
So now, even in areas that aren't having a natural disaster, you're having an economic disaster, and sad to say, you have a lot of people that did not prepare at all. I'm not going to call it prep, just prepare, just normal stuff, and they have no moral problem with taking from those who did at any cost. So it creates really a twofold issue with the whole deal.
Yeah, and not even just twofold. I mean, there's tertiary effects, and I mean it starts a snowball effect really, really quickly. And you know, a lot of the times when even for those of us that do prepare for bad situations, we don't think about the realization of what's actually going to happen. We kind of have this movie playing in our head of like something that we've seen on TV or a movie before. What is that? As bad as the natural disaster or whatever is affecting the area is, people can a lot of times make it worse. Like how much water do you drink a day?
A gallon.
Maybe a gallon, right? And you drink a lot more water than the average person, right? But everybody's going and buying up all the drinking water. Everybody's going and filling up 75 gallons worth of gas, to stockpile. If a lot of times if people were to just use the resources that they have in a normal fashion, it wouldn't cause this crazy drive for all the resources to be wiped away. And even knowing that, you're not going to change that about people. People are going to do that. But you have to think about it, in a logical way, to where when you're preparing for these things, you're thinking about what's actually going to happen. My parents are actually down in Florida right now, and been talking to them over the last few days about whether they were going to leave or stay. And a big part of me wanted them to leave, but I also don't want them to get stuck in traffic. And be sitting in traffic for 2 days or whatever, because from what I'm hearing, I-75 northbound is just like all the way to Atlanta is just a traffic jam. So weighing those things of being able to, like, okay, yeah, I want to get out of here, but can I get out of here, or am I going to put myself in a worse situation, right off the bat? Because no bad your house is, or of the interstate when a hurricane's coming through,
Right. Well, and the idea is pack up what you need and drive to somewhere else that's safe. If you don't have what you might need to stay in the vehicle, you've got a completely different survival situation.
Yeah.
A nasty survival situation. Real quick, Lou McCoy, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you from Tiberosaurus Rex on YouTube. Preparedness says that they have the effects from the fuels in England.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
So you have, talk about having really, really widespread effect.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people are becoming conditioned to be so reliant. So without getting into all the weird prepper stuff, a lot of people will not drink water from a tap. Even if it's good water. Here in Kentucky, our water's great. I know up in Michigan, a lot of my friends have some worse water, and they need softeners and everything. But you can, for essentially free, fill up every Ziploc and container that you can, throw it in a fridge, and don't have to worry about water, while other people are killing each other for it.
Right.
But you've got people that won't do it because they don't drink tap water.
Right. Or simply, all the aftermarket purification stuff that we use all the time. I just used a Sawyer filter today to get water out of a creek. Having stuff like that around, well, now I can take, even if I don't like, I think like, okay, my tap water is probably not good, you know, still having those things that you would have in a, you know, at your house. Well, like you said, now I'm not running around like crazy trying to buy drinking water.
Right.
One of the other big things people don't think about if they are going to bug in is even if they do have food, how much of that food is in the refrigerator?
Right.
And how much of that food do I have an ability to cook it, you know, or even something as simple as boiling water, do I have an ability to do that without the power being on?
Right.
Or, you know, if my gas is, you know, not working in my house, do I have an extra, you know, way to just a little Coleman, you know, burner or something? You know, having stuff like generators and all that stuff is great, but at the end of the day, you know, that also requires gas. You know what I mean? And if we're talking about, okay, we're out of power, you know, and everything's demolished for a day or two, yeah, probably not going to be a big deal. But if that goes into weeks and weeks, then it becomes very easily a huge ordeal.
Well, and up in Michigan, they had an ice storm this winter that knocked out the power. My mother-in-law was up visiting family with her grandparents, and they were out of power for over a week.
Yep.
And the only thing that they had to warm their house in an ice storm in Michigan was the house's propane stove, and they ran the burners on a propane stove to try and keep the house warm.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know what the shelf life is of a propane tank, but if you have yourself a little heater and a little Coleman stove, I am fairly confident that you could have a couple propane tanks set aside for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
A little Coleman propane tank, and a lot of survival is mental. So if you can have a warm meal and not be freezing to death, it could be the difference between making a drastic, foolish decision and keeping your mind where it needs to be, having a task to do, and getting stuff done. So sometimes it's the little things, and I'm a prepper, but I'm not talking about getting crazy. You know, I'm just talking about common knowledge stuff. You know, some cans of food and a little
that's the thing is that, you know, most of this stuff we're not talking about living in an underground bunker. You know, we're talking about just stuff that people used to do all the time, and now we're so reliant on the system or well, I'm gonna go to Pizza Hut and get something to eat. Well, if Pizza Hut doesn't have any power, you're not getting any pizza that day. You know, and one of the other things that people are really reliant on is, you know, the idea that somebody's coming to get you, and somebody's going to come help you, because the government has done a lot of things, and there's a lot of organizations in place that do that during disasters. You know, look at you know, the hurricanes we've had in the past, Katrina, Andrew. You know, there's always this huge rush of, you know, everybody from FEMA to all sorts of other organizations to come help. Well, when you have back-to-back disasters like this across the country, well, now most of those resources were in Texas. So you either got one of two things going on. You either have resources getting pulled out of Texas to go to Florida, or you have resources that have to stay in Texas to continue that can't go to Florida. So when you start piling things on like what's going on right now, you know, all that help that, you know, normally would, one of the really awesome things about you know, Hurricane Harvey in Texas was, you know, and I'm sure all you guys have seen it, but everybody kind of pulling together, and, you know, just a huge flood of support and help to go down and help people, find people that were, you know, in their houses and all those sorts of things. But you know, a big part of that is you can't control those external things. Now, you know, it's really nice that people took it, you know, out of their time and money and everything, but, you know, at least for me, I don't want to have to rely on that. You know, it's and I think that's where we are societally, is a lot of people just they don't even think about it. They just naturally rely on those kind of systems that are in place and think, oh, everything's going to be good. Well, it may not be good if enough things start piling up.
Well, and it's like a lot of people have become dependent for everything, and so both and I are involved both in survival, and so we both are in a community where you see a vast number of opinions on how, what, why, but then you see people who just don't want responsibility for anything at all, and they want someone to take care of everything, and it's just not going to be the case. Let's see, Patrick Germond said it's good to see you, Justin, and that's up to.
About 5'11", brother. No, Rock Castle. We got a whole lot of stuff going on. Like Jacob was saying, everything from survival to pretty much all aspects of firearm stuff. So, been staying pretty busy. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important point as far as our reliance on everything from technology to other people to the government to just everything. We don't even think about it anymore. Yeah. Just simple daily tasks. So first, I think both of our our thoughts and prayers are with everybody that's about to get affected by this hurricane, with everybody that's been affected by the hurricane in Texas. This like I said, the stuff down in Mexico, the wildfires. Having said that, it's not that hard, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space to have a couple days food that's that's stable enough. You know what I mean? It's not going to go bad. It's either canned or some mountain houses or something like that. To have a little bit of water piled up in your pantry, or to have a water filtration system that you can rely on. An external way to cook food, like we were talking about. Like, those things should have already been in place. That should be in the back of your pantry somewhere that you're not even really thinking about. So this mad rush that you get caught up in to go out and buy all the eggs and bread, and like I've never seen so many people like eat eggs and bread. I don't know if they're making egg sandwiches or what,
right.
And drinking milk. But anytime around here, like, it doesn't snow all that much, but anytime it does, people just swarm the grocery stores and buy up all that stuff. But that should be. And again, not talking about living in a bunker, not talking about like you have your own animals and things like that. Not even going that far. Just if you're in an apartment somewhere, you should at least have a couple days of food and water,
right.
And some emergency stuff to be able to get you by, so that you don't have to get caught up in that mass chaos. And quite honestly, if you look at bears freaking out, if you look at most of we've been lucky really in the United States world that have really caused a lot of crazy damage and everything else. Going out and leaving your house even beforehand to go get stuff, that's a dangerous proposition. Like we were talking earlier, getting on the road and getting stuck in traffic, or going to the grocery store and trying to buy 12 dozen eggs. That can very easily, if everybody wants that commodity, that can very easily turn sideways really, really quick.
Real quick, Patrick Germond again said he can't believe how many people down here have no gas storage in Georgia. Nobody can buy gas. There's diesel, but nobody can buy gas. One thing that you need to consider, and it's on the same topic of easy preparing, is with ethanol fuel now, which almost all of us use ethanol fuel, the fuel does not last outdoors for more than about a month. It'll last longer if you can keep it in a climate controlled area, but you almost can't store fuel anymore. But what I always harp on my wife about is
you have to recycle it if you're
well, not only that, but don't wait until you're on empty to fill up your car. Keep it, 3/4 of a tank or above whenever you can, and you'll know off the bat that if you have to get in your car and go with nothing else, that you can make it a few hundred miles, and a lot can happen in a few hundred miles. So it doesn't cost you any more money. It might take you an extra second, but it's something that everybody can do. It costs you nothing extra. Other things to consider: tuna, Spam, things like that. What can you eat? A lot of people hate tuna. A lot of people hate Spam.
It's food,
canned
man.
chicken. But like, what do you like? Go find out. You can find out what you like, and then you can store up on it. And it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's going to last there. Something that nobody thinks about. Okay, I know a lot of women who cannot use the bathroom outside for some reason, Mariah. And so maybe in every one of your vehicles you have that $20 little water filter straw that could save your life, and you have a Shiwi. And now you can go out to the woods and you can pee, and that doesn't become some life-altering crisis, because every little thing compounds in this emergency situation. And it's something that's $5 and that, and it's, so the things that we're talking about, guys, we're talking about essentially $0 prepping. Simple stuff is just, taking responsibility for yourself before an emergency.
Yeah. Well, and it's not life altering. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's one of the perception problems that have become so prevalent. And I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that are preppers, or whatever you refer to yourself you refer to yourself as. But at the end of the day, like, what the stuff we're talking about is not. We're not talking about building crazy bug out bags and having 3 ARs in your car at all times, and grenades strapped to the hood or something.
It'd be nice,
like,
though.
well, I mean,
I'll take a couple grenades.
But we're not necessarily talking. We're talking about stuff that everybody should do.
Right.
Because you just don't know when you're going to end up in a very likely case of a natural disaster. I mean, I think, yeah, if you live, you kind of have it in your head, like, okay, there's a chance of a hurricane, but the sad part is, like, stuff can happen. Natural disasters can happen anywhere in the world at any time. Right. Just like that.
Well, and the other thing to consider, like we were talking about earlier, guys, right now we have a lot of people from Florida in Kentucky.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a natural disaster here, but we could sure have a natural disaster when cities get flooded and everything gets bought out, and then if crime picks up. I live in a little tiny town here. We've only got a handful of sheriffs for a really big area. So now if you double or triple our population, which would not be difficult to do, that could be...
Especially if it's a sustained thing and it takes a long time to get repaired to where they can actually go back.
Right. Now you're talking about, sheriff's posses and all kinds of craziness. You're talking about everything that you think is normal going away, and you look out, it's a normal day outside. So so just because you live in an area that might be very temperate, these things are just smart. It's just taking responsibility for your well-being. The prepper's bunker.
You're probably of that mindset anyway.
Right. I mean, and I'm all about taking it to the next step, but not everybody is, and with no negative impacts to your life, you can be prepared for a week.
Yeah.
You can live. So what I want to do now, we'll cut it off here pretty soon, guys, but I want to just open it up to questions. Let's see here. Mr. Baker Skates, he says that Stable is okay, but Pry G is great from Amazon. definitely try that because my motorcycle, well, until I sell, so if I leave gas in it for like a week, I've got car problems.
Really?
It's so annoying. So I will definitely check that out. Let's see here. Yeah, it's good to hear, bud. Thanks for letting us know about that. So, and like Patrick was saying, butane, propane, whatever the case may be, it'd be cool to have a multi-fuel stove.
Mm-hmm.
Having lanterns is a great idea. I've got both propane lanterns and, you know, old school oil lanterns. It's as simple as it gets. You know, you talk about an emergency with no lights, how something so simple could become an emergency. Your mom has no lights and falls down the stairs and breaks her hip, and you have no phone and you're in an emergency. Well, now you're in a life-threatening emergency.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? And you can't drive your car. You know, whatever the case may be, something as simple as a little lantern or whatever, guys. So, good point on all of that. So I think that we're gonna wrap this up, guys. If you have further questions, let me know once this video processes. Both me and Justin will, and you can ask him questions on there as well. And once you subscribe to him, Justin's got a plethora of knowledge that he wants to share with you guys.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, appreciate you inviting me over, man, and then appreciate you guys watching. With again, you know, with everything that's going on right now, just put some forethought into your actions. Be safe out there. You know, our hearts go out to the families and people that are being affected by all the stuff that's going on right now. At least for me, I try to, and I know Jacob's the same way, but try not to be part of the problem, you know. And you can do, you know, very simple stuff that's going to be able to help you out should an emergency arise. You know, if you want to drive around with a van full of stuff, you know, yeah, I get it.
deuce and a half.
Yeah, right. But you know, at least, at the very least, you know, have some things that are going to come make your life a little bit easier if your area is affected, you know, by a natural disaster.
So yeah, and if you got women, seriously, check out that Shiwi because it'll save your life. But thanks for watching again. Check them out. I'll be talking to you guys in the description and the comments below, and I hope that you have a blessed day.
All right, take care, guys. Oh. There. What are you doing? What are you doing?